In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to assemble the Kobalt 10-inch folding table saw. This can be purchased at your local Lowe's. I did catch it on sale for $2.99 last weekend. I've been needing a table saw for quite a while. I just didn't want to spend the money. And then once I happened to see it on sale, it was an easy decision. So we're going to get this unboxed and I'm going to show you how to assemble it. So if this is the table saw that you decide to purchase, you'll be able to assemble it a little bit quicker after watching this video. Now if you go to your local Lowe's to purchase one of these, make sure it has the shrink wrap on it. Now they have two of these in the store that had the shrink wrap and one did not. So I assume maybe the one that didn't, somebody might have returned, but it should come with this plastic wrapping all the way around it. Just take a normal box cutter and we're going to slice this open and begin the assembly. When you first open the top of the box, this is what you're going to see. It is extremely well packaged. It looks like everything's pretty well protected. A good thick, probably about 3/4 inch foam. Everything else is in bags and sealed up good. Now this inner packing foam comes in two sections. You can simply lift this entire top piece of foam off. It's slightly heavy, maybe around 20 pounds, and that's going to reveal the saw and the bottom section of foam protected products. The top section of foam removed, this is what you'll be looking at. The saw is in there upside down. You can remove this two ways. You could lift it straight out of the box. I would set it on the ground and lift it up that way because you do have to lift it kind of high. Or you can cut the sides of the box off and slide it out from the side. Once you have everything out of the box, you're going to want to start with assembling the table stand. What I'm going to start with is putting the wheels on the assembly. Now this part here is labeled letter J. And now you do have a hardware bag, but this already comes with your nut and two washers on it. So you don't need to open your hardware bag yet. But right now we're going to put the two wheels on. You're going to have a washer on the inside, washer on the outside. Slide the wheel on. Now if you put this on wrong, you'll know right away. If I put it on this way, the wheel will not turn. It's going to be up against the frame. So if you put it on that way, just simply turn it around. Make sure your wheel spins freely, and then you're going to have another washer on the outside, nylon lock nut. And this does come with a wrench, but I recommend you just grab a socket set, 1/2 inch socket, tighten this up. And now we're going to assemble M, N, and R. This is a cross brace. And then you're going to need the two M6 screws that are about 2 inches long. The next step is you're going to find this U-shaped piece with the letter S on it. Make sure that these pads are to the downside. We're going to put these on these legs like this. You may have to spread them or bring them in a little bit. You're going to push down. And then you're going to use these two bolts. They're about 1 3/8 inches long, along with two nylock nuts. Now we're going to install two handles onto the actual table saw. The handles are labeled 11 and 12. 12 is going to go to the front side, which is going to be where your label is. 11 is going to go to the back side. And then you're going to use two more of these bolts. They're about 1.5 inches long, along with nylock nuts. Now there are two bolt holes right here. You're going to put these bolts in the hole that is closest to the bend in the handle. Do not use this inside hole. Now we're going to take that frame that we made earlier, lay it up on here like this, and then we're going to bolt this to the actual table saw frame. And you're going to need two of these spacers These spacers are about a 1/2 inch wide. And you're going to need 2 of these carriage bolts. These are about 3 inches long. And now we're going to assemble this frame to the table saw. For a close-up view, this is what we just assembled. You have the spacer in between these 2 bars here, the bolt, the nylock nut, and you're going to have the same thing right there. Now we're going to install the wheel assembly. As you can see, I have this end here raised up. Now raising that up is going to allow clearance for you to put your bolts through this frame and this frame. Up of the assembly, you got your nut right here, spacer, bolt, and then the next thing we're going to do is bolt this to this right here. So there's a zip tie on this. Cut the zip tie, and now we can raise and lower this section here, and you're going to bolt together this section right here next. I'll show you what that assembly looks like. If you just use this as a reference, coming up this way, you have a spacer here. Here's your bolt, here's your nut. Over here you got another spacer, nut here, bolt here. All of your nuts are going to be basically to the inside, and then you're going to have the same thing on the other side. And now this did come partially assembled, but the nuts are not tight. So if I use the front side here as a reference and I come up over the top, as you can see, this nut right here, you got a spacer there. This here is not tight. And if we look over at the opposite side, you'll see this one right here. We're going to go ahead and tighten those up. At this point, we're about 90% done. You're going to go ahead and set this on the ground. You're going to lift up with these handles and set the saw onto the wheels and the standing frame. Now underneath the motor, this is the motor right here, you have foam packing. You're going to want to remove the packing material. Now in order for you to unfold the stand and put the saw in working condition, you see this little unlock right here. You're going to push down on this, and that will allow you to stand up the saw. Now this is what the saw should look like. And now go around, and there's a couple zip ties. Go ahead and cut off any tags and zip ties. Now go around and tighten up all of your nuts and bolts. And now we're going to install our knob onto our height adjustment. So you're going to take the supply bolt. It's going to go in this end. And now I recommend you put a little bit of blue Loctite on here, and it's going to thread right into here. Now we need to raise the blade all the way to its highest position. So you're going to turn clockwise, raise this all the way up until it stops. Now we're going to install the saw blade. Let's go ahead and remove the nut, this washer, lift this lever up. Saw blade is going to go on this direction. You can see how it turns. The saw blade is going to rotate to the front. Next you can install your washer, and then we'll reinstall and tighten up the nut, and then lower this lever back down. And now to tighten the saw blade, you'll need 2 wrenches. This one here is on the back side. This one here is going to be on the front side. Install the throat plate, but these screws here are for leveling only. They do not screw into place. The throat plate is going to go kind of down at an angle at the back and then snap in place in the front. And now we need to install the anti-kickback pawls. Now these, you're going to have to push this button in, and when you push it in, it goes to a smaller diameter, and that's what locks it in place back here. I'm going to turn the camera to the side. This might be a little bit hard to see. You're going to push in like this. It should snap in place, and you shouldn't be able to pull it off. Now I need to install the blade guard. It does have a lock right here. It's going to go on just like this. I'll bring the camera to the side so you can see the assembly. Take a look at your blade guard. You're going to want this section here to be parallel with your tabletop. If it's not, you may have to raise or lower this riving knife. Now here's a close-up of what it should look like. Now you can go ahead and set your miter gauge in place. And then we can install the rip fronts. Go ahead and take your push bar out of the way. You're going to line up the back first with that yellow tab. Pull towards you. Line up the front. Make sure this is pushed in. Push down. Lock in place. And if you're looking at the back of the saw, we'll use this dust collector tube as a reference. If you look over here on this round part, you just undo this wing nut, and then that's where your wrenches are going to get stored. So go ahead and store your wrenches right there. Now if you need to slide the table, lift up on this lock, and that will allow you to slide at whatever dimension you need. The assembly process is complete. Hope you guys found this video helpful and informational, and thanks for watching.